In a distant land where the sky shimmered with golden clouds and rivers ran as smooth as glass, there lived a peculiar creature named Tallo. Tallo was a timekeeper, one of the few beings entrusted with the responsibility of maintaining the balance of time in the world. He looked like a mix between an owl and a tortoise, with wise eyes and a shell engraved with clocks of every shape and size. Tallo's job was simple in theory but profound in purpose. Every day, he would wind the great time wheel that kept the flow of hours and minutes steady across the world. Tallo lived atop a hill in a small tower where time flowed more gently than anywhere else. From his perch, he could see everything: children growing up, seasons changing, lives unfolding. He loved his job but often felt that others didn't appreciate how precious time really was. One morning, while winding the time wheel, Tallo noticed something strange. A flicker in the seconds, a small stutter in the minutes. It was barely noticeable, but to a timekeeper, it was alarming. He consulted the sandglass of the ages and found the answer. Somewhere in the nearby city of Aurell, someone was wasting time in such large amounts that it was causing ripples in the very fabric of it. Determined to fix the imbalance, Tallo flew down to the city and landed quietly in the center square. People bustled past him, too busy or distracted to notice the odd creature with the ticking shell. He watched as people stared at glowing screens, scrolled endlessly, and complained about not having enough hours in the day. Children sat indoors playing games instead of running in the sun. Adults rushed from place to place without ever really being present. Time was slipping through their fingers, and no one seemed to care. After observing for a while, Tallo came across a boy named Lin. Lin was clever and curious but spent most of his time dreaming about the future and wasting the present. He wanted to be a great inventor someday, but instead of practicing or building things, he spent his days in idleness, thinking tomorrow would be a better day to begin. Tallo followed Lin for an entire day and watched him delay every task, say no to every opportunity, and push all his dreams into a future he never worked toward. That night, Tallo visited Lin in his dreams. He appeared beside the boy in a vast white space filled with clocks, each ticking at different speeds. Some were spinning out of control, others had stopped completely. In the center stood a large hourglass, nearly empty. Lin looked at the strange creature and asked, "What is this place?" "This is your time," Tallo replied. "Each clock represents a moment you've been given. Some you used well, some you wasted, and some are still waiting for you. But they won't wait forever." Lin stared at the hourglass and felt a cold wave of regret. He realized how much time he had spent doing nothing, how many ideas he'd postponed, how many chances he had ignored. "Can I fix it?" he asked. "That depends," said Tallo. "Time is the most generous and the most unforgiving resource. It gives you every moment freely, but once it's gone, it never returns. You can't rewind it, but you can choose what you do with the time that's left." Lin woke up the next morning with the image of the hourglass burned into his memory. From that day on, he made small changes. He started working on the ideas he had once postponed. He helped his parents with chores, took long walks outside, talked to people with full attention, and wrote down his thoughts and inventions. At first, progress was slow, but the more he valued his time, the more he accomplished. Years later, Lin became a great inventor, not because he was the smartest, but because he had learned the value of each passing moment. Tallo continued his work atop the hill, watching the world carefully. The time wheel spun smoothly once more. Lin had reminded others around him of the same lesson, and little by little, the world became more aware of its most precious currency. The advice that echoed from Lin's story was simple but powerful: time is the one thing you can never get back. Spend it wisely, for every moment you waste is a moment you can never reclaim.